Hey kids, do you like wrestling? Well, we like wrestling too. We are Shake Them Ropes here on the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. Myself and Chris Novembrino kind of doing a lazy river of wrestling criticism, going through the news and whatever happened in stateside television wrestling. And also, you know what? Sometimes we just like to watch old stuff and talk about that too. Love for you to give us a listen. If you haven't already, we are Shake Them Ropes here on the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network.
Time is precious, and so are our pets. So time with our pets is extra precious. That's why we started Dutch. Dutch provides 24/7 access to licensed vets, with unlimited virtual visits and follow-ups for up to 5 pets. You can message a vet at any time and schedule a video visit the same day. Our vets can even prescribe medication for many ailments, and shipping is always free. With Dutch, you'll get more time with your pets and year-round peace of mind when it comes to their vet care.
This podcast is a member of the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. Visit voicesofwrestling.com to hear the rest of our great podcasts, as well as show reviews, columns, opinions, and updates across the world of wrestling.
Hello everybody, welcome to the Super J-Cast. I'm Joel, joined by Damon McDonald. It is Tuesday the 6th of May, 2025. This is episode 360, like the number of degrees in a full turn. That's it. That's all I got for you. You thought something funny was coming. It's not.
Well, that's what they think.
That's the line.
That's the line. And a little joke. Hi, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to our show. As the great Andy Taylor would say. How are you? I know we didn't do a preview show, just our schedules were all kinds of...
I did a fantastic preview show. Patreon, $10 tier. Aged like a fine wine. All my predictions were correct. So if you've not listened to it, get your fucking wallet out, sign up, listen to that, and then you'll realise how brilliant and insightful and correct I am about everything, and you'll wonder why you hadn't signed up sooner. I did a great show. I did an hour and a half all by myself.
Wow.
I talked about Arsenal. I talked about my trip to the Emirates Stadium. I talked about the drama with the TJP situation because some people in the DMs wanted to get their side of the story across. A deep dive into that. Plus my predictions and preview for Dontaku. Great show, even if I say so myself.
Excellent work out of you. Look at you working hard for your money. Can you give me and the fine listeners a too long, didn't listen synopsis of the TJP situation?
I was dreading that. I knew you were going to ask me that.
Don't bother. Don't bother. Don't do it.
I won't. No, I've got to be completely honest here because again, a lot of people have been talking to me, and I appreciate people reaching out and setting the record straight because I didn't have to do that, and I appreciate the time that people take to do so. Yes. But again, I've heard conflicting things from different perspectives. So some parties say that a heavyweight push for TJP was nailed on. It was in place. It was a happening, as you can see from him getting pins over Taichi. There was that gauntlet match, and certain people believe that was a certain thing that was going to happen, but was then undermined by Jeff Cobb making snarky comments backstage and saying, United Empire have no leader, and claims that was what resulted in him getting half the number of bookings and money that he was getting previously.
What else did TJP's wife have to say?
She called me a fucking cunt. It was
my goodness gracious!
That didn't happen. And other people on the other side have said that the reason the dates have been cut and everything is due to him being difficult to work with. I find it difficult to believe that if a company are dead set on a push and are going to not strap the rocket to a guy, but are thinking that a certain creative direction is going to be successful and draw money, I can't see how someone making a snarky backstage comment in Hamamatsu or whatever, they're going to listen to that being, oh, Jeff Cobb said this, we're pulling the plug. Sorry, we were going to elevate you to superstardom, but your guy in the faction said there's no leader. So, nothing we can do. Our hands are tied. The push is cancelled. All right. That doesn't make sense to me. I can't square that.
Okay, fair. Can I play devil's advocate at this point?
Mm-hmm.
What if, now again, difficulty to work with? What does that mean? What does that entail? Does that mean in ring that he's just wants to get his shit in? And
obviously not. I think that in ring has never been an issue.
Okay, all right. So if he's outside the ring, then I guess my question and my devil's advocate is in the trash.
So be more specific. So like playing hardball, overestimating value, turning down what other people might consider to be generous and fair offers.
Mm-hmm. But
too much chatter on social media.
Well, that's true.
And just believing that they want a role that the company are not willing to, that the company don't see the value in.
All right, but everybody does that, don't you think? Don't you think every wrestler does it?
Yeah, I know, but what I find a shame in this whole thing is potentially losing TJP as a junior heavyweight, particularly a junior heavyweight tag wrestler.
Right. Yeah, I agree. And here's the thing too, though. I also don't like the fact that what everyone is implying is that if I'm a junior, I'm stuck in this bubble and
less than.
Fuck me.
Presenting a junior as less than.
Right. That's what I don't like, because I definitely feel like there is so much talent there, and just because they don't weigh a certain much, and again, I've said it 1,000 times, junior heavyweights, the idea of a junior heavyweight title, I love the tradition of it. It's my favorite title in all of New Japan, et cetera, et cetera. But in the same breath, it's 2025. And really it is a Japanese pro wrestling company, as much as we want to try to admit that this is some international company. And that them be the rules, it does seem a little bit archaic, because they can go right over on Strong even, and all those rules go out the fucking window.
Well, yeah, Strong is non-canon. We know this.
Well, right. All right. Well, listen, I hope they'll work it out. I hope they all find a way.
Again, that's my concern, that there's just there's been a lot of unnecessary bridge burning, that so much has been said at this point that I'm struggling to see a way back, because at this point the company might just be looking at him and thinking, you know what, it's not worth it.
Right. And Joel says that as he stirs the drink with the straw.
I'm not trying. Look, you asked. I've got to be honest. I can't.
I did.
I owe it to the listeners. I can't. I don't have it in me to do a sort of disingenuous take of trying to, protect people and sugarcoat stuff. I've got to call it like it is.
I agree.
Otherwise, there's no value to this.
Until we get the check, that is. And then all fucking bets are off. Anytime they want to write that check, we'll fucking toe the line like no one's business. Like no one they've ever seen. Like no one they've ever seen. All right. Well, that's all the news that's fit to print on that. What else we got? Where are we going?
Ben says, would you rather have Arsenal win the Champions League, but Carl and Luke become IWGP Tag Champions for a year? Or England losing the World Cup final, but Goto loses the belt to Gay Kid at Wrestle Kingdom in a sold-out Tokyo Dome. Ben is vastly overstating the joy that wrestling can bring me compared to the joy that football can bring me. I would take Arsenal as European champions, and I would take fucking Good Brothers holding those titles until the end of time for an Arsenal Champions League win. You don't understand how badly I want this Arsenal win.
Right. I would take the Good Brothers sodomizing Jushin Liger in a ring if the Leafs win the cup. How about that? All right. Yeah, no doubt. Which made it past the first round again, second time in past 20 years or so.
Okay, that's good, because I thought it was all going tits up.
Well, here's the problem. It could go that way. First round, we were up 3-0. We lost game 1. Great. You expect that. Whatever. But now we're going back home, and you would think, okay, they got it out of their system. Here we go. We'll close it out right here. Nope. They played probably the worst game they've played in fucking months. It was just horrific. And you're just like, here we go again. They're going to find a way to fuck it up. But then game 6, they won. And last night they played arguably until their fucking goaltender got dirty hit. He got knocked out. He was throwing up on the bench. He was so concussed. No penalty, by the way. Fucking unbelievable. It's unbelievable, dude. I couldn't believe it. I was like, how is that not okay? Well, the NHL will step in, Joel, and there'll be disciplinary action. And no. They took him to the fucking hospital. Unbelievable. I couldn't believe it. Anyway, to that point, they played probably their best playoff game period against the team, the last year's Stanley Cup winner. So that was good. They came out looking fucking sharp. So we're up 1-0. We play again tomorrow, home. I don't want to say this out loud, Joel. Oh, God, I don't want to say this out loud, but it feels different. It feels a little different. It feels different. The team feels different. So fingers crossed. We'll see what happens. But, yeah, so far, so good.
These are the conversations I like to have because the best part is the space before the match, which is filled with infinite possibility. You're playing out all the different scenarios in your head and anything could happen. And it's just filled with that uncertainty and wonder and just like being in the mix. It's being able to have that hope is a really magical and special thing. So we're both existing and basking in that at the moment. And then when both our teams inevitably lose, we're never going to mention this again.
I know. This is the best because they don't play tonight. It's an off night. So this is the best because you can relax and actually relax and watch hockey as opposed to do the Lanza and pace in my living room watching fucking a game. So this is great.
So I was just saying that I'm keeping an eye on the other semi-final, Inter versus Barcelona, and the first leg was nuts. It was a 3-3 draw with some crazy goals, and in this home leg for Inter, they went 2-0 up, and I thought, they're sort of cruising to victory. And now Barca pulled it back to 2-2. They scored twice in 6 minutes. So it's all happening.
It is all happening. I'll tell you what. I know you don't watch any hockey, but these playoffs have been unbelievable. There was a team, Game 7. They were down. Were they down 2 goals in the third? Yeah, they were down 2 goals in the third. This is Dallas and Colorado. Down 2 goals in the third. Came back, scored 3 unanswered goals, and won the game. The guy that scored all 3 goals, mind you, one guy scored all 3 goals for Dallas. He was traded this year by Colorado. He used to play for Colorado, and he was just totally fucking came out of left field, and he's like, "What the fuck? You're trading me?" Traded him, came back and shoved it in their fucking face. Great. Then Winnipeg against St. Louis. Literally the last fucking second, Game 7, last second, St. Louis is up, last second, Winnipeg ties the game, and then Winnipeg won in overtime. If I was a Blues fan, I would have jumped out a fucking window. Oh, I felt so bad for him, but them's be the breaks. I've been there. It's been really good. If
at least get to the final, if it's just like a one-match final thing, could we... I feel like I should watch it. I'll do some sort of live stream content.
Let me be very clear. If the Maple Leafs make it to the finals, dude, whatever you want. I'll get a tattoo of you on my head.
I don't want that. Why is that being brought to the table?
Everybody would want that. Well, who wouldn't want that? I don't know. But if they just made it, if they make it to the finals, I'll live stream every fucking game. If they make it to the finals, we'll see. But again, we have a little ways to go. We got to get past this fucking jerk off, fucking Wonder Bread uniform looking jerk off team, and then we'll see what happens. All right. So fuck Florida. Fuck the entire state of Florida. By the way, anybody who resides there, please go fuck yourself. And fuck
absolutely fucked you, Florida pieces of shit.
I want that little cartoon thing where they saw off, they just saw off Florida and let it float away. Nobody even cares about your dumb fucking team. What do you think of that, too? Man, I'm making friends here, aren't I? All right, who cares? Nobody's listening. By the way, there is no cross stream of New Japan fan and Florida Panther fan. It doesn't exist. I'd be shocked. And if you are, I do like Alexander Barkov, though. That's what sucks. There are players I do like on that team, too. But fuck them. They're dead to me now.
Fuck them, as our good friend Bad Luck Farley would say.
Hey, do you watch, speaking of soccer and football, do you watch any of... So here, I'll get right to the point. I came across in my YouTube channel travels a little documentary about Celtic and the Rangers, Dublin teams.
Glasgow.
And I found it very interesting. How deeply divided Dublin is with that, and it's a lot of it is
it's Glasgow. They're Glasgow teams.
Is it? Did I say Dublin? Glasgow. Correct. Yeah. Scotland. Correct. Yeah, my apologies.
It's crazy. Yeah, like the rivalry goes way beyond football and is a religious thing. And I don't know exactly what it is. It's like a sort of Catholic Protestant thing, and it's wild. I've heard anecdotes about people who were friends in real life that couldn't reveal which football team they supported because they knew it would like tear apart their relationship. So it's
family members too. Yeah. Yeah, it was pretty amazing. Like I was just like, wow. I mean, that's, whew. Yeah. I thought that was like, man, I don't know if I have that in me. And I guess if you're in it and that's what you're brought up in, and that's, that passion that you feel because it's just like baked into you. I don't know if I have that for anything in my life. Like, I don't even think like if my house like was threatened, I would have that kind of passion. Be like, all right, just fucking take it. I got insurance. I'll figure it out. But these people are just fucking like, whew. Like I gotta be honest with you. I would be afraid to go to a game. I'd be a little afraid because if I said the wrong thing or did the wrong thing or wore something weird, like, I don't know. It just didn't seem like it would be. But then on the other hand, like if you're in the mix, I can't imagine a brotherhood like that. Like it's like a gang. I don't know. I don't know. I really found it incredibly interesting. So that's my rabbit hole. If anybody wants to pass along anything to recommend to watch when it comes to Celtic and Rangers feud, I would be interested in that.
Right, let's get into some New Japan talk.
Do we have? All
right. Yeah, we do. Wrestling Dontaku.
Yes.
Pretty great pair of shows. I mean, the undercards were nothing to write home about, but in terms of the business end of the cards, I think they were all, without exception, more than the sum of their parts. I thought they all over-delivered. I
agree. And I know that we talked briefly about the shows, and then we were kind of like, hey, this is not a bad show. And there were things that we giggled at and stuff. But I think personally it over-delivered. I think everybody had their working shoes on. And even the matches that were kind of like, okay, it might not be something that I'm totally 1,000% like invested in, like I am now with Celtic and Rangers. I thought it would, like, let's put it this way. If they took those two shows and made it one show, it would be in the running for show of the year. That said, I thought, like you said, the business end of both shows were outstanding. The undercards were solid. There wasn't anything that I was kind of hand-waving. Everything in the ring was good. And we even saw touches of great, dare I say.
Yeah, absolutely. Very newsworthy show. So we've got a lot to talk about. We'll just start off then. The first night, which was Saturday, May the 3rd, Fukuoka Convention Center, attendance of 2,903. There's not really much on the undercards I think is worth discussing, so I'll go to skip straight to ELP versus Takeshita, unless there's anything you want to say about the first few matches.
I did like the opener. I don't know if you caught the Young Lions. I did. There was something about it that I really liked in the sense of, they, again, Boston Crab finishes, but They're working over. God, I'm so stupid. Who is the you like him, the chubbier one? What's his name?
Murashima.
Yes. He had his knee wrapped, so they're working over the knee, and they had him in a Boston Crab. But then he found a way to kind of fire himself up and get the win with a Boston Crab. I don't know. I kind of dug that. I thought that was really interesting and fun. There was
a fantastic post-match backstage comments from Daiki Nagai after this match, which I'd strongly recommend people listen to, because he was going off. Like, he looked like he was taking some serious shots at people in and around the company. So yeah,
he's got a little edge to him. I like him. He's a little jerk off.
Shitmouth Nagai.
I love it. All right, that's the only thing I wanted to mention. But yes, we can go right to ELP, to Kesha, which, let's be truthful here, fucking great, right? I really enjoyed this. I thought there were plenty of false finishes, and once again, the TV title. I mean, not the TV title. Well, I mean, again, I love the idea of ELP trying to find new and inventive ways to not get himself over, because he's already over, but I think he's doing a real good job of making himself a baby face in a difficult spot. Like, you can be a baby face. Like, here's a perfect example. Like, would you consider Gabe Kidd a baby face or a heel?
Baby face.
Me too, right? And there is something to be said about the badass, take no shit, fucking...
Yeah, he gets to do all the cool stuff that makes it easy to cheer him.
Correct. Where I don't know if ELP has that opportunity, so he has to do it the really tough way. And let's be very clear too, being foreign and having that role is pretty difficult. I think he does a really great job doing it.
Not only in the ring, but outside of the ring as well. By all accounts, everyone I speak to has nothing but good things to say about ELP. He's just made himself part of the furniture now. Like, he's made himself an integral part of that company just by hard work and just being nice, just being kind and valuing, like, genuinely valuing what everybody in all parts of the company and the fans, what they bring to the table. So what you see in the ring is, I think, the tip of the iceberg in terms of the value that he brings to New Japan as a whole.
Yeah, but and that, again, there's never been one person to say a negative thing about him that I've heard anyway. And then now you take that and then you try to turn that into, okay, so how can I incorporate this into my pro wrestling? Now, again, are there people that might root for him because of the struggles that he went through? Sure. And why wouldn't you, right? Why the fuck wouldn't you? But the fact that he's been able to be a guy that is so beloved and still feel genuine, like nothing feels forced. In fact, I'll go so far as to say this. Him as a heel and being the dickhead heel, and maybe I'm dead wrong, and maybe his family would be like, "Nah, dude, you got it completely wrong. He's a jerk off." Right? But it seems like that was more of a stretch and an act than what he is right now. I could be dead wrong.
He does with more authenticity what Shota Umino was originally doing as an attempt to get over as a babyface.
1,000%. 1,000%. Now, add to that a guy who's incredibly talented in the ring. He's an asset. He's an absolute asset. And I don't know. I just maybe this weekend, something struck with me, and I really kind of appreciated what he's been able to do. And maybe it took me a while to do it, but I've always been a fan. But I just think, wow, that's a really tough fucking road to take when he probably didn't have to, and yet he's walking that path and he's doing it very well.
Yeah, and I've always been talking about this TV title, the importance of having that sense of urgency when you've got that 50-minute time limit. And I think they nailed it here. Like, Takeshita started the match bell's barely rung and he's elbowed ELP to the face and is doing a tope off the side, right? So that just set the tone. Like the whole match, I felt was worked at that pace. There wasn't any filler. You rarely get any filler with someone like Takeshita, and everything was just so well paced and dynamic and impactful. Even the way Takeshita does Irish whips into the turnbuckle is done with like a little bit of extra venom. Like it looks like a shoot, even though it's the most preposterous move in the whole pro wrestling arsenal. But yeah, I mean, ELP I thought was terrific here. He did his part in making Takeshita look like a force of nature, just bumping like a madman for him, and also working smartly, using the fact that Takeshita puts 100% into everything and using that to his advantage to sort of reverse stuff and make him go tumbling over the ropes. Sprinkled in some really well-placed high spots from ELP. I still think they've got really great chemistry. We've seen the wonderful G1 match they had last year. They've worked some really neat reversals here. And I feel Phantasma always looks better against a high-paced, heavy-hitting opponent. Whereas, wrestling against someone like Great Khan doesn't necessarily accentuate his strengths. So, I mean, to broaden that point, actually, I feel like most wrestlers raise their game against Takeshita because they're trying to match his pace and his physicality. Like, I can't really think of any matches he's had against New Japan regulars where the New Japan guys phoned it in against Takeshita. But anyway, back to this match. I thought, yeah, all killer, no filler. I thought it was 15 minutes pure action that, like you said, underlines what ELP can do against the right opponent and the value Takeshita brings as a guy who simply doesn't miss. And I can't wait for the rematch at the weekend in Ontario.
Yeah. And here's the thing, too, and here's where I pulled back a little bit in the beginning of my thoughts, is because I'm not 100% sure, but I'll throw it out anyway. I love the TV title, right? You know that. We all know that. And I love the concept of it because it is, there's not a lot of room for filler. And if there is filler, it's something to tell a story. Anywho, I hated the fact that this was just 15 minutes. And maybe that's a genuine Costanza moment of, all right, I left when I'm on top. You know what I mean? Like, that's it. All right, work out.
Yeah,
right?
Left you wanting more. That's classic booking, isn't it?
Yeah, yes. So in this match, I was in that, what the fuck? Time limit. Motherfuck. I was getting into this. But it does, make me look forward to round 2, round 3, whatever the case may be. So yeah, in that sense, it definitely did what it needed to do. But yeah, in that particular moment, I was just like, motherfuck. I wish we had another 10 minutes, but yeah, that's the beauty of this title, which again makes it my favorite.
Right, then we had the Hiroshi Tanahashi Final Road Kinship, where Zack Sabre Jr. beat Tanahashi 13 minutes and 7 seconds with the Zack driver. It felt like we got a more serious, aggressive Zack here, which made sense after what happened with him coming out to challenge Goto after night 2. But it just felt like Zack was laying in the kicks and slaps with a venom that perhaps he's been lacking recently. But I thought both wrestlers were nice and snug here. And what is it? How many? They've had like 15 matches together. And I wouldn't say this is the best one, but I think it was one of the better ones, actually. I thought Zack's knee selling was good. I think the match layout in general really smartly worked around Tanahashi's limitations right now. But even saying that, I do think it was a great performance from Tanahashi. Not grading that on the retirement curve. I thought he actually performed really well here. Everything was executed very well. Even did some quite ambitious stuff, the flash pin attempts down the stretch. I thought it was really well done. I enjoyed this a lot more than I thought I would. Yeah.
I would love for the rest of the year for him to just wrestle Zack. Because don't you think that...
You can tell he likes wrestling, doesn't he? Like 14 matches, you can see the appeal because it's relatively low impact, isn't it?
Correct. That's number one. So you have two guys that are arguably some of the best pro wrestlers on planet Earth right now. And even with the knees and the hips and all that shit ready to fail at any moment, it's still Hiroshi Tanahashi, who might be the smartest in-ring general that we've seen. And And then you have Zach, who is creative and fun and has that, again, low impact style. You're not going to see a ton of top rope shit, and nor do you need to. And it just felt like just the chemistry and the fact that Tana can do and work to his strengths of emotion, facial expressions. He's fucking tied up in like a pretzel, but still finding ways to escape and get out and be that baby face. The perfect opponent. Let's be very clear. And it was a solid match. Again, I don't think anybody is sitting here looking for, your 5 stars. Those days are long gone. But that being said, for where you are on a show and what you're asked to deliver, I thought he delivered it tenfold. Again, we're not concerned about stars, and we're not concerned about that because we're enjoying every fucking moment of this guy because the clock is ticking. It's summertime already, kids. We got 6 months of him. I mean, enjoy every second. But yeah, it's a perfect opponent, and I thought the match was super solid. Loved it. I don't think Hiroshi Tanahashi is going to get it. Do you think Hiroshi Tanahashi is going to get a fucking singles win again this year? Yes or no?
Yes.
Oh, you want to give a prediction on who?
There's still a lot of people he hasn't wrestled yet. I mean, I'm thinking other young lions, dads, junior heavyweights.
Okay. Do you think they're going to go another? They could. Yeah, you know what? They probably could. Yeah, you're right. All right, he'll get a win. I'll tell you what. You give me good odds, I'll take the no. I'll take the no. Give me some decent odds. But yeah, it feels like he won't. But you made a very valid point. He's definitely a possibility.
Right. So, 6
What are you enjoying over there? What do you got over there? A glass of tea?
Mally is not. She made me some jasmine tea, but she's also put extra tea in a thermos flask so I can have a little top up.
Oh, look at you.
How kind is that? What a lovely lady.
She sure is. All right, where are we going next?
Shame she won't put out, but you can't have.
Oh my goodness Christ!
I'm joking. Right. So we had Shingo Takagi defeating Shota Umino, 50 minutes 7 seconds. Last of the Dragon. Dare I say that Shota talking out of school about the monkey abuse lit a fire under Shingo and caused him to bring some real. What's that they like to say in flagship? Heat and hate to this match. And maybe that's what Shota needs to do. He just needs to deeply offend all of his opponents so they wrestle to his strengths. I thought this was great, David. When the match opened up with Shingo hurling a chair at Shota's face, I knew we were in for a good one. And whether or not it was because of the monkey tweet, Shingo tapped into his Dragon Gate, that vindictive bully persona, in a way that we don't often see from him. And don't get me wrong, he's still a very good wrestler, but can be a bit formulaic at times. I think he's way more entertaining when he looks like he wants to do his opponents an extreme physical discourtesy rather than just cycling through the standard match tropes and signature moves and the like. And I know people might roll their eyes at this, but if LIJ is really finished, then I would love to see this arsehole Shingo leading a faction, maybe with guys like Youngblood and Daiki Nagai, just to offer a different flavour of heel. Like, case in point being Shingo's behaviour at the end of this match when he just dropped the ice pack on Shota's head in a uniquely Shingo move. Like, it feels like a very particular space that only Shingo could occupy with. I've beaten you fair and square in a physical war, but I'm going to be a real jerk about it afterwards. So I would love to see him leading a group of young heels, but not necessarily cheating heels or even excessively violent heels like War Dogs. Just a bunch of jock twats who don't break the rules, but just generally unpleasant to be around, if that makes sense. So that's Shingo. I thought he was really great here. Moving to Shota. So I thought he was really great at the Finlay match. I thought it was crap in the Goto match. And then he was great in this match. And I said before, like, nobody wants to see Shota Umino as the babyface in peril because he's not cool when he's doing that. He's not empathetic or relatable. People want to cheer cool guys, like we were talking about Gabe Kidd earlier. And Shota looks cool when he is beating the piss out of people. And he's genuinely good at that. he lays in the strikes really hard. His forearms and elbows are meaty. His headbutts are good. The knees are good. He's got one of the best lariats in the company. I've made the Kensuke Sasaki comparisons before, and this was more of that, and it was extremely my shit. And not just that, I think the fans responded to it too. So I think presenting Shota as this angry problem child who talks shit and is universally disliked, that's the way forward. I can't say with any confidence that he'll be presented that way consistently, because the Goto match was such a disappointing stray from what made the Finlay match so great. And I don't know who's to blame for that, but it felt like I was watching a completely different wrestler. So I'll have to wait and see if Shota can string together 5 or like maybe even 3 matches of this flavour and quality before I can say we're getting somewhere. But all the same, love this match. I thought it was a terrific performance from Shota. He got hit hard, he hit back harder. Great visual at the end with a nosebleed. And I thought he punctuated the really good strike exchanges with some explosive, high-impact wrestling moves. You know, the suplexes, the tornado DDT, powerbomb. I just found it really gripping. I mean, my favourite match of the weekend, actually, this one, which I don't know if I'm the high man on it. But and again, that's a high bar to clear, because I thought a lot of stuff in these 2 shows was really good. I think both men knocked it out of the park. I hope whoever is in charge of Shota's booking does more of this, because if this is it, right? If this is the fully realised final form of Shota Umino, then sign me up. I like this. Let's keep him in the mid-card doing this for a few years, and he will eventually get over and he will be the main eventer that you want him to be. You know, follow that Goto path. But I'm going to set all that well-reasoned analysis to one side, and I'm going to moan. I've got to express my deep frustration with the way that this match is being discussed in other circles, which I know shouldn't bother me, but it does. It's the same old talking points being regurgitated instead of actually analysing the match. It's the usual stuff. You know, Shota's got no identity. He's copying other people's styles. It's the Shingo carry job, blah, blah. I wish
he
people
wears
would
a clan hood to the ring.
he's got a weird-shaped head.
right.
I don't like the tassels. I don't like the fluffy bits on his trousers. Damon, I just wish people would actually pay attention to what he's doing in the match. You know, actually talk about how the wrestler is wrestling in the wrestling match instead of just slapping a safe star rating on it and copying whatever Joan Rich last said about him, or whatever the populist take among the Yankoid wrestling fandom is, and trying to fit this into their preconceived narratives about Shota without actually analysing the quality of the match or the performance. Now, look, don't get me wrong, his packaging is weird, it's incoherent, it needs to be better, but this match fucking rocked. And he's really finding something in ring that is resonating with the fans, but the reception to this is, well, he's still bad because he hasn't changed his gear and his music. That is just absolute baby brain nonsense. And that's what I see and hear from the Yankoid imbeciles. This is just Vince-pilled crap, where all changes in wrestling characters have to happen at once in a big angle, signposted with big flashing lights. He's a heel now, look, he's changed, in order for the narrative to shift, rather than watching the actual wrestling and recognizing the huge strides that are taking place. And Damon, I know this is going to happen. I'm chewing my own face off thinking about it because it's inevitable. And that is the day where Shota actually changes his gear and all his entrance music. And then everyone's going to start saying, oh, he's good now. And I'm going to have a fucking aneurysm. I'll tell you, he's going to come out one day wearing a new hat, wrestle exactly the same way he did today, and the idiots will be saying, Gato, you've done it again! And I'm going to put my head through the screen just to make the voices stop.
Well, I was going to say, wow, he doesn't deserve to be in this match, man. I tell you. So that was over. All right, let's go with it then. I am with you, and I'll tell you why. I think he needed to get his ass kicked. And he probably needs to get his ass kicked again, right? Because how can you feel any type of emotion for a guy who doesn't, right? The whole point of pro wrestling is the idea of a guy who might not, you might think the odds are stacked against him, and he kind of fights back a little bit, and he tries to overcome those odds. And nobody likes a person who just fucking gets everything handed to them and spoon-fed and all that stuff. That was the past. Right now, he's in his, okay, I'm going to get sandpapered up. And how do I get that? How do I get people behind me? Well, I take a licking and keep on ticking, as the kids would say. The kids never say that. Maybe in the 40s they did. But my point being is that it's weird how pro wrestling fans can be, in the sense of losing helps you. And finding, but as long as you have an ounce of fight back in you, people can get behind you. I hate to be this guy, but I'm going to be this guy. It reminds me of a documentary that WWE did on Hell in a Cell. And one point that stuck out, again, after all the fucking throwing him off the fucking cage and Mick taking the fucking bump through the cage onto the mat and his fucking tooth growing through his nose and the thumbtacks and all of that, right? At the end of the match, he gets tombstone, Taker sticks him, 1, 2, 3. But even Mick pointed out, my leg is just kind of softly kicking out because there's still a little, no matter what, you could fucking, you could put a bullet in my head, I'm still going to try and kick out at 3, right? And that's a little bit of what reminded me of this match. It felt like, for the majority of the match anyhow, that it was Shota on the receiving end of some brutality, right? And even at the end, again, it was a foot that went astray, that clipped his nose, and now we have the benefit, I hate to say it, of hard way, right? When you saw that and his face all fucking and his nose kind of mangled and dripping blood and all of that, and him walking out of the ring, he still had a little fight in him, and he still had a little nonsense in him. Which again, that's part. All we're doing is we're adding to a cup, slowly but surely, which is good. Slowly but surely, slowly but surely. Slowly but surely. And each time this happened, it pays off in dividend. Like it just like the interest rate on wrestlers doing things like that pays off tenfold. I thought he did very well. I thought the match was compelling. And dare I say, and correct me if I'm wrong, you heard people kind of getting behind him a little bit in the crowd, which never happens. Kind of heard him getting behind it. And I'll be truthful, I even saw myself kind of getting a little bit behind him. Like, it's going to take time. That's okay. It doesn't have to happen overnight. That's okay. But I feel like we're trending in the right direction with this. I'm not saying every match he has to go out there and get his fucking ass handed to him. I think this
That's what I'm saying.
Okay. All right, fine. I wouldn't have a problem with it happening again. Let's put it that way. But like that helps. It's weird. Is it a sympathetic thing? Is it a Simpson meme? He's already
I think it's just sort of tapping into that, like, the prize fighter thing. Like,
thank you.
I can watch a UFC fight and not necessarily like or empathize with the guys in the ring, but if they're beating the shit out of each other, I can respect someone's heart and technique as a fighter. I don't have to think they're a great guy and see them high-fiving babies and that.
And what about a guy who's got his ass kicked? Yeah, what about a guy who got his ass kicked for 2 rounds, and now in the third, he's mounting this fucking comeback? You're going to get behind him, right?
Is that Chris Lieben? Does that name ring a bell to you?
It does, yes.
Yeah.
I mean, it feels like it's Pro Wrestling 101. And the fact that they've gone down this path a little bit, I think that's the formula. That's the win. That's how people kind of get behind him. And it's amazing how people, when you get behind him in an emotional standpoint, wow, you really see, the guy, that was a really good match. And, he really fucking put out on this one. And he's, all those things eventually all those things in the past can be rectified as long as we're at a pace and we're at a direction that kind of helps support people, giving people a reason to give a fuck. What was your reason to get behind Shota before that? There wasn't
one. Yeah, and you could feel the invisible hand of the booker forcing him into positions where the crowd was vociferously rejecting him. But exactly. I think the correct gimmick with him is just talk shit, get hit.
All right. That should be a t-shirt. Talk shit, get hit. I like it.
I'm going to share something. This is a bit long. J. Michael sent this to me. So this is from the blogs where the wrestlers, write little diaries and stuff. Yeah. So this is from Shota's. So he's talking about Shingo. He says, I respect him a lot as a wrestler, as someone who steps into the ring. I think he's strong, tough, and an amazing wrestler. He's been sulking about his own unit, complaining and whining about the company, and he says that he didn't know Naito was leaving. In Hiromu's article in Tokyo Sports, he says that they've been talking about it since last year. I don't know if he's telling the truth. Wasn't Hiromu the one who started all the rumours? Even after he lost in the New Japan Cup, Takagi said a lot of unnecessary things like Finlay should beat me. Only made some sarcastic comments backstage at Korakuen Hall. What's going to happen to Los Ingobernables de Japón? The ones who are most worried about all this uncertainty are the fans, right? It's not me or the other wrestlers causing all this unease. It's Takagi who is making those fans feel uneasy. It's Takagi who's complaining about the company. And then there's the matter with social media. You were the one who first stirred things up and brought up unnecessary topics from the past, weren't you? Well, maybe I was crossing the line with my comments about your past controversy and I regret going too far. However, when you're causing trouble for me, how can you expect me to stay silent? Say things like, I want to see your parents' faces. He has no motivation. He's not going to put on a good match. Is he even a professional? You have no good car ideas. I've added that last one myself. Can you really say these things to the fans who are looking forward to the match just to amuse yourself? As a wrestler, shouldn't the focus be on beating me in the ring and captivating the audience? He said it's a waste of time to stoop to my level, but that's what I should be saying about you. Whenever there are complaints or it becomes inconvenient for him, he runs off to his hug box of fans and gets them to back him up. He has nothing interesting to say and he can't stand up for himself, so he just does this. I thought he was a cool guy, but he's just lame. If he's so unwilling to fight, he should apologise to the fans, complain to the company he's working for and ask them to change the card. It's a waste of time for me to get involved, and if you can't stand being teased, then don't pick a fight you can't win. As I said on social media, I don't care about pointless sniping on social media, so let's have an exciting match in the ring. That's what I'm trying to say. That post you made after was disrespectful to everyone. Damon, he's not wrong about any of that.
Yeah, he's a smart cookie. He's got a way with words too.
Imagine if that was like a backstage promo, if he had actually said that verbally, like that would have been fire. So again, I think he's tapping into something here, just being this, like I said, the problem child who's just going to wind everyone up and just pick at those little scabs and the insecurities and pull on those threads just to piss off everyone that he wrestles against. So they end up having an absolute war in the ring, and that's a winner. I like it. I'm excited.
I like it too. And
it's going to change next time he wrestles. He's going to be he's in a chin lock. Is he going to get to the ropes? Oh,
right. Listen, keep the cardboard titles at home. I get it. He's divisive, but I think people need to see what's happening in front of them at the time and then make a decision. Like, I know history hasn't been on his side, but again, a lot of things haven't been in his favor. Look, I like the direction that's going. So that's the best I can say, right? And if it turns fucking to shit after that, then okay, we'll complain about it. We'll bitch and moan about it. But right now, it seems like they're on the right path.
Seventh match, Dogpound cage match. Loser leaves Bullet Club. Taiji Ishimori, Clark Connors, Drilla Maloney, Gabe Kidd, David Finlay. Defeat Kanemaru, Sho, Sanada, Ren Narita, and Evil in 26 minutes, 17 seconds. And it was Gabe Kidd who got the pin on Ren Narita following a driller hole pile driver through a barbed wire table. And I had my concerns going into this about whether there was going to be the heat necessary and the willingness of House of Torture to go to those physical extremes that made the first Dogpound steel cage match so special. And while it didn't reach those heights, I thought it did a pretty great job in delivering what I thought was a faster paced and arguably tighter, more focused match than its predecessor. And I think it was a smart move to ditch the staggered entrances and start times, just everyone all starting the ring together, because they hadn't built up the interpersonal feuds well enough for that to work. Like there's not going to be any drama if the timer counts down and we're like, oh, here comes Kanemaru, or Taiji Ishimori's out now, business is about to pick up. Like, they hadn't earned the duration of the previous cage match. But honestly, I think that was a bonus here. It was well paced, it was well structured. I think there were just enough high spots for it to be a satisfying payoff to, let's be honest, it was a fairly mediocre build. And the usual cartoonish villainry of House of Torture, I thought was elevated with just enough sadism here to make War Dogs compelling underdog baby faces, particularly with the numbers disadvantage later on when like Yujiro and Dick Togo are getting into the cage. And yeah, we had some nasty stuff. We had forks to the head and skulls driven through tables. House of Torture guys that I was skeptical about taking the bumps needed to make this match work. They did give that little bit extra for it to be a success. Like, you know, we had Sho taking the superplex off the apron. Thankfully, they caught him, unlike poor Leon Slater. Jesus Christ, I don't know if you've seen that. That was horrendous. Ishimori did a moonsault off the cage. Sonata took a guitar shot to the head. Kanemaru obviously managed to avoid taking
Sonata.
any significant bumps.
Right. No. Yeah. That fucking outfit, man.
Well, the Sonata outfit, incredible.
Yeah.
Right? The shiny outfit, that gets an extra star on the star rating just for that one. But
right.
Yeah, a really great visual at the ends of a really demonic looking Ren Narita just covered in blood. I don't know if that was a blade job or hard way from the Gabe headbutts, but it looked cool as shit either way. The best he's looked. And yeah, really great finisher. The pile driver through the barbed wire table, the camera splattered with blood.
Yes.
Not to mention, Damon, how could we not talk about that truly sickening bump from Gedo onto Dick Togo that shaved years off of both men's careers? I was nearly sick when I watched that one.
Well, I know, the fucking table. You know what I'm thinking as I'm watching this? And I'll just sum it up with first. I thought the match was really good for, you know, I don't think anybody was expecting it would get to the levels as we saw previous year. But I thought it was, you know, a solid main event with full of action, full of, you know, you're not going to be bored watching it. Crazy, sick, you know, somewhat stupid spots, you know, like you're just like questioning their sanity. Everybody put their bodies on the line, and I thought it was really good. I'm thinking during this match, and I'm kind of like, okay, maybe this person, maybe this person, maybe this person. How many people do you think this was the first time they bladed in a match?
Time is precious, and so are our pets. So time with our pets is extra precious. That's why we started Dutch. Dutch provides 24/7 access to licensed vets with unlimited virtual visits and follow-ups for up to 5 pets. You can message a vet at any time and schedule a video visit the same day. Our vets can even prescribe medication for many ailments, and shipping is always free. With Dutch, you'll get more time with your pets and year-round peace of mind when it comes to their vet care.
I don't think it was any of them, actually. I'm pretty sure we've seen Ren do a blade job before. I'm thinking there was a strong match or something against Juice Robinson, I think, if I'm remembering that correctly.
How about Sho?
I think there might have been a spot with the Taguchi match and the banana a few years ago. No, I don't know. I can't think.
You know what I mean? But I'm just kind of like going through like did Clark Connors bleed last year?
Oh yeah, he's had some death matches, hasn't he, Clark? He's a nutter.
Yep, Clark. What about Drilla?
Did he bleed during last year's Dogpound Steel Cage? I feel like everyone was bleeding.
Had to have, right? He had to have. But that was the kind of thing that I'm thinking of, and I don't know why that was the thing that I thought of during this match. But like, it felt like there were a lot of guys that maybe this is, you know, it's not like they do it every fucking day. It's not like they're hanging out in fucking Big Japan in that filthy ass ring. Was it Sho that hit the fucking gusher? He was
Ren.
Was it Ren? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Holy shit. Like there was one point where I was just like, holy,
This man probably needs to see a doctor.
Oh my God. I was like, this is Muda scale bullshit. I mean, it wasn't to the point where it was like, you know, squirting out of his fucking head Kabuki Scott style, but still, I was like, wow, he fucking tore himself. And Gabe was pretty sliced up too, all over his body, it felt like. And the two things that one you said was the camera, that little droplet of blood that remained in the lens was like, whoo. Like if that didn't like let you know, there was just something about it that was just like fucking gory. Crazy. And then even like spots like, David Finlay getting hung, from the cage. The barbed wire tables, the barbed wire wrapped around the table was pretty crazy. And, even, fucking guys that are well past their prime and should not be taking bumps of any nature whatsoever, let alone trying to go through a fucking table that doesn't break. Some pretty fucking sick shit. They laid it out there. They did a great job. I thought it was incredibly fun, entertaining, and a nice close to a show. At first, I hated the cage. I got to be honest with you. I really found the cage that looked incredibly fucking hokey last year. I don't know. There's something about it now that I look at it and it's just like, wow, this just feels like dirty and grimy and fun. It really felt like,
yeah, you're in for a nasty time when that tiny cage comes down.
Yep. There was no fucking blue cage nonsense, right? This was brutal. I thought it was really good. I thought everybody in that match did over and above of what they needed to do. And you're right. These type of matches, it feels like shave months, if not years, off of careers. But they're willing to go for it. And I got to tip my hat to them. I loved it. I thought it was really good.
Lady Guy Fieri says, are we supposed to just retcon when Evil announced that House of Torture are no longer part of Bullet Club like 6 or 7 months ago? Godzo says, how satisfying was the Bullet Club Civil War? Yeah, the stipulation losers leave Bullet Club, I think, is utterly inconsequential. But, I mean, who cares? It was a good match.
Yep, agreed.
Let's then go to night 2. If we may, if you don't mind.
Yes.
Sunday, May the 4th, Fukuoka. Big crowd here, 5,407. I'm assuming the Naito goodbye match did most of the heavy lifting there. A lot of stuff with Kyushu Pro guys, given that they were in Fukuoka on the undercards. Nothing I have anything to say about, apart from the women's match was very good. The Stardom Showcase, that was great. And I wanted to talk about Tajiri, who looked like sort of Tajiri and William Regal had fused together to make some sort of super, like Dragon Ball Z style.
The grey hair. Yeah. But he looked like listen, nobody was asking him to do a ton of heavy lifting in this match, mind you. Nor should they. But it was both weird and cool to see him in that environment. I did dig it. I had no problems with that. And again, a lot of these matches we'll probably have more moments like that of, Tana in, a multi-man tag and special guests coming out of the woodwork. The gray hair threw me off a little bit. I'm not going to lie. It did throw me off a little bit. Because I think the last time I saw him, like physically saw him, he still had dark hair. But, now that I think of it, that was like 5 years ago, dude. So, things happen. So, yeah, the gray hair threw me off a little bit, but good for him. I like to see. I think we'll see more of it, and I think it's going to be fun.
That's right. The 6th match, this was the Naito goodbye match. For now, was Bushi, Hiromu, Naito, and Shingo defeating Taka Michinoku, Taichi, Ishii, and Shota Umino. I do get the conventional wisdom of using a match like this to get some shine for your wrestlers who aren't leaving, but I don't know, maybe this is just me. I don't think anybody would have begrudged letting Naito pin Taka Michinoku on his way out here, but still, it was a nice moment. Crowd were predictably vociferous, chanting for Naito and Bushi. Naito landed his 2 moves without incident. Bushi did a cool dive. We got what may well be a send-off for LIJ. I do think we'll see Naito in the New Japan ring again someday. I'm curious as to whether or not that's it for LIJ. Are they finished now, or it was sort of unclear where it goes from there? Because Shingo seemed to intimate it was done, but it seemed to be with the post-match stuff after the Tsuji match that he was kind of being anointed as the new leader. But a little update from Naito here. He's getting another eye surgery and stem cell treatment on his right knee. So it's a lengthy time off it sounds like.
I'll kind of work my way backwards. One, I agree. I thought it was absolutely preposterous that Shingo got the win. I understand that we're trying to set him up as the next challengers for belts aplenty, right? We're putting over the guys that are sticking around. That said, come on, you know what I mean? Like, I was just like, really? None of them? All right, whatever. Again, I'm quibbling over a minor detail, but okay.
Because this is what I was thinking, right? That Taka was in this match. And I thought, that's really petty of New Japan to get like the lowest of the low, like the bottom rung wrestler put in this match for Naito to pin on his way out. But they didn't even let him pin him. They let Shingo do it instead.
I know. I thought that was, I don't know. Look, let's be very clear. That house, was it 5,000 and change? That's, that was on the back of a dude saying goodbye. Two guys saying goodbye. Let's put it that way. Yeah. So, we couldn't give him the pin. Okay. All right. Whatever. Listen, whatever. I knew we were in trouble when the T-shirt didn't come off. That was like, you know what I mean? I was like, oh boy. All right. Well, so, we're going to be in. And yeah, I think every bump that he took was a self-induced bump, right? So, he's doing, maneuvers so that, his back hits the mat at his pace. He wasn't taking a bump for anybody. And you could tell he was emotional. At least it felt like it.
Ushi's backstage comment, he was really tearing up. He was barely holding it together.
Yeah, well, they were showing him, sitting on the turnbuckle like he normally does, and you could tell he was, thank God the mask was on, because if not, tears would be running down his face. And I think everybody kind of felt the moment. And I think a lot of people not only felt the moment, but were like kind of looking at each other like, why does this have to be like this? Why are we here? Like, where did this go wrong? I don't think there would have been any problem if they said, hey, you know what? I know you're not under contract and technically you are a free agent and all that stuff, but why don't you just take some time off and we'll readdress this when you come back, right? I don't know. Or, maybe if you wanted peace of mind.
Anyway. There's nothing preventing that from happening.
No, there's not. But when you build something and 5,000 people show up to say, this is your last New Japan match. And again, nobody said forever and he's banned from the promotion and that's not going to happen. But, and again, I understand it is pro wrestling, but you did build the show off of that, right? Of the idea of that's it for him. Now, again, if you said, hey, you know what? He's going to take some time off, but, we'll talk about contracts and all that. Would you still draw 5,000? I don't know. Would you? I don't know. So, again, the general thought process of a lot of the people that are buying tickets is, well, this is the last time we're going to see him in a New Japan ring. And again, anything can happen.
This is just like the thing that he does of walking out of the restaurant without paying the bill, but writ large.
Okay, fair enough. But, I don't know. So
no, I'm being facetious. I'll take your point.
I know.
This is, he's not sort of going to deliberately mislead the fans this way.
No.
What he's saying at the moment, he means.
I would agree with that. Yes. I don't think this is a situation where it's, let's just get a big house and we'll fucking come up with an angle and bring it back 2 weeks later. That's not happening. But in the same breath, like, how did we get here? How did this happen? Why did it happen? And I think a lot of people were left kind of questioning that as opposed to anything else. And I think if you polled a lot of the people in that audience, and that, which means nothing, I will also say, but they are the ones taking the money out of their wallets. They're all kind of like, I would say, pro Naito on this. I don't think anybody's siding with the company and saying, well, he's banged up and bang, right? Like us jerk offs. Like they're like, well, what the why what's happening? Why is this? Why are we even in this spot? You're right. Anything can happen, Joel. A year from now, 2 years from now, 5 years from now, we could see him back. But it was a bit sad to me, anyway, in the sense of the reality of the thing that we love so much has officially now been laid to rest. You know what? I'm going to step back. It hasn't been laid to rest, but we got the death certificate of that era. And it's finally going to be laid to rest come January 4th, right? But there's a lot of people that kind of see that as, my God, everything that made this company what I loved is now either, off to other places or retired or, whatever the case may be. So for a lot of people, it was a very sentimental moment in the sense of, okay, this is the end of an era. And two, there were people that were kind of scratching their heads saying, okay, how did we get here? The match was nothing to write home about, but I think the importance of that moment and people watching and people who listen to this show kind of felt that. And that's not to say that one era is better than the other or any of that. It's just the fact that it's just a chapter that's closing. And I think people felt that.
I do feel somewhat vindicated here, and he's having this eye surgery and the stem cell stuff on the knees, because some people are like, oh no, he's fine, he can still go, he can still be a main event. And I'm like, no, come on. This is a tacit acknowledgement that is not the case. Here's an interesting question from Andrew, who says, I saw a pretty interesting tweet about Naito quitting, saying that only 3 wrestlers to date have been with New Japan from the start to the end of their careers, excluding early retirements, and Andrew would like me to test Damon if you know who they are.
Fuck me. All right. So they started and ended with New Japan without going anywhere else.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Naito's one of them, right?
Well, he's not retired, has he?
I mean, all right.
He doesn't
point. Retired. Well, Liger being one of them.
Yeah, that's one.
I'll
give you a clue. They're all retirements that we've seen in recent years.
Okay.
Like within the last 5 years.
Not Tenzan, because he was in All Japan for a little bit, wasn't he?
He's still wrestling, mate.
I know. How is he? All right, good point.
Well, I suppose calling it wrestling is probably a bit generous.
He's barely walking, Joel.
Right, 6 years. The last 6 years.
Really? Oh, Nakanishi?
Correct.
All right, there's 2. One fucking more. Can't be any Suzuki-gun because they all did Noah.
Well, they were still technically under contract to
New Japan. That's right. All right.
It is a Suzuki-gun person.
Is it? Okay. Is it that? It's not Taichi. It's oh no, is it Iron?
Yeah.
Really? Wow. Chase me through the fucking building. What the fuck was his name? Help me out.
You're grappling for his name now.
Yeah, why am I doing it?
I should help you or not.
I'm old. Just please do it.
Takashi Iizuka.
Iizuka, that's right. Yeah. Do you know I saw him in Philly on a Joel Goodhart show? Pre-ECW. And so Joel Goodhart was a Philly promoter, blah, blah, blah. Todd Gordon buys him out, Eastern Championship Wrestling, ECW, blah, blah, blah. So Joel Goodhart shows were the fucking tits back in the day because he would bring in like just ridiculous talent. Couldn't afford to pay him. And he was, when he was a young lion, he brought him in. And I think he wrestled Owen Hart. Yeah. Those shows were great. Yeah. How about that? And he had like this. He was not what turned out to be. Let's put it that way. He was young.
Okay, so it wasn't on the leash and with the face mask.
No.
Yeah, I imagine that list will probably increase. You'd imagine Tanahashi, Nagata, and Tenzan, maybe even Taguchi might be added to that list in
Taguchi would
next
be
few
on
years.
that list.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to move on. If I may, I'll go on.
No, I'm fine. How about El
seventh
Samurai?
match.
Did El Samurai? Where did El Samurai wrestle? He only wrestled New Japan. I don't think he went anywhere else, did he?
I'll have to look out.
Real quick, look up El Samurai for me. Indulge me. Did El
Samurai
Samurai? Maybe
New Japan Dojo in 2008 to 2013. He was freelance.
God damn it! I thought I had that one. All right, very good. I'm sorry.
All right, our seventh match, IWGP Global Heavyweight Championship match. Yota Tsuji, his fourth successful defense against Yuya Uemura, 23 minutes 43 seconds. Gene Blaster. Bit of a tough spot here, wasn't it, to follow a big emotional moment like that? And I don't know if they deliberately planned a slower, more methodical start to overcome that moment gradually rather than going for a hot start. But Tsuji working over Yuya's elbow was the obvious move. They couldn't not do that given the injury comeback story, even if it did take a while to cook. And I don't think it would have made any sense for them to have a 100 miles per hour work ratey match and not do anything with the injured elbow, because I felt by necessity it had to be more of a classic wrestling match, leaning on the psychology, the in-ring storytelling, than being like a heavy hitting or high spot or plunder match or whatever. So story pretty simple. Yuya needed to overcome the trauma of that G1 injury in order to be victorious. I thought the limb work was really good. It really started to pay off when Tsuji pulled off that very slick flying armbar. And that's when the match sort of got into extra gears there. I do think they got a better match in them, but I think this was the match they needed to have for this moment, if that makes sense. And the crowd really started to buy in to all the submission near falls from both men. And it built up to what I thought was a really compelling closing stretch where Yuya's digging deep to execute his signature moves. Like, it's a struggle for him just to do his basic moves just because of his painful elbow, like physically and psychologically as well. He's struggling to do the dragon suplex, and he's struggling to do the frog splash because he's worried he's going to get hurt again, and then real struggle to land the deadbolt at the end. And it's just those extra seconds he needed to recover, just enough for Tsuji to exploit and hit the Gene Blaster from out of nowhere. And this is interesting. We know Tsuji is capable of delivering high quality matches, range of spots, range of opponents, but Yuya is still somewhat of an unknown quantity. And I know largely he's been injured, he's missed a lot of time there, but we've not got that body of evidence that this is a nailed on tippy top guy. And I do think he'll get there eventually, but I do want to see those levels from him, because he can do the classic babyface Ricky Steamboat style wrestling, but does he have those extra gears to mesh with a wide range of opponents in New Japan? And I'd like to see him have a great match with someone who isn't Konosuke Takeshita. And I know some people are going to hate me doing this, but just using Cage Match as a guide, Yota Tsuji has had 11 matches that are ranked 8 out of 10 or higher. Yuya's got 1. That was a Takeshita match. So there's something not quite clicking there. He's not getting to those tippy top levels. And I'm curious where you would rank him on current performance against the likes of his peers like Tsuji, Gabe, Shota. I mean, even Callum Newman at this point is worth having in that conversation, and what we still need to see from Yuya Uemura. But yeah, what did you think of the match?
I did like the match a lot. And I thought it was really smart pro wrestling, right? I thought everything that I saw made sense. Like, there was no part where I was kind of left scratching my head. I thought everything was solid. But I don't think this is going to be a match that I'm going to remember, 2 months from now, 3 months from now. I don't feel we're there. That is a criticism that I think a lot of people have for a lot of guys that are at that level. And that's the extra gear, right? That puts things over the top and then solidifies your thoughts about that wrestler. But if we go through, we said the same thing about David Finlay, right? We said the same thing about Gabe Kidd to a certain degree. We said the same thing about maybe even Yota Tsuji. We said the same thing about, maybe even back in the day, we probably said the same thing about Naito. That next level, that thing to make it indisputable. And we've said that about Callum Newman too, right? Let's make no fucking bones about it. And yet, in the next, 5 minutes, stand by, we're probably going to be doubling back on a lot of the things that was a concern or a worry or what have you. It's going to happen. Like, I really truly believe that there is a talent there that has the ability to take it to the next level. And I know what you're saying. Well, why not now? Why not? Where is it now? I get it. I understand. You're second from the top. You're fighting for, the second most prestigious title in the company. And we would hope that you would blow us away because, it's after intermission, so we got to deliver. I get that. I would be shocked if it's not there. If we don't have a conversation in the relatively near future of, wow, this is what we were looking for, this is what we wanted, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm not that concerned. Did we see that here? No, we didn't. Did we see anything where I'm like, oh, this is terrible? No, just the opposite. I thought everything was fucking solid. The problem is that you didn't get the goosebumps, and you didn't get the I'm popping out of my seat, and you didn't get that shiver down your spine kind of thing. That's going to come. We got to be patient. And I think, we can only talk about what we've saw, right? And it's very easy to sit there and just throw a dart against a fucking wall and say, this guy's going to be a blue chipper, and this guy's going to be the future of the company. And I who fucking knows, right? But what I can see right now is that the guy's got just the cup runneth over with talent. He's a fucking really great pro wrestler. It's just that extra gear. That's all it's missing right now. And
he's not been around like that long, sort of post excursion as well, because of that injuries he's had. It's only been it feels like about a year in total. So we're working with an imperfect set of data here.
1,000%, and I don't think there's any scientific significance that we saw that would lead anybody to say this guy's great or fucking throw in the towel on this guy. Like that's I think it's too early to tell. And the things that we would bitch and moan about with other wrestlers of why are they in the spot or what. Okay, I don't think that applies to this guy. But look, we'll see. This match didn't have that element, but was anybody expecting that? I don't know. And I'm not making it. That sounded like an excuse to me, and I feel bad that came out of my mouth. But it's not an excuse. But you're right. The guy's been on the fucking show. There's a lot of fucking things, and I'm not making excuses. Will it come? It will come. It wasn't here, if I'm being honest.
Pep's Waterburner says, do we think Tsuji drops the global belt to Gabe at Dominion and goes on to win the G1? And does Goto hold the belt till Wrestle Kingdom 20? I would say, yeah, that would be the chalk pick at the moment for Tsuji to lose upwards at Dominion. So Gabe wins the global title at Dominion, Tsuji wins the G1, and I guess Goto, Tsuji for the main event of Wrestle Kingdom.
Okay. Not Rock Tanahashi. That's not going to... That's not...
Well, never say never.
Okay. How you feel about that? How you feel about Tsuji winning G1?
So he's probably the favourite at this point. I mean, personally, I would like to see Gabe win it because he's my favourite. But okay. I mean, who would we say the contenders are at this point?
I mean, it's a short list, right? It is a short list. Yeah. Yeah, I think you're right. Do you see G1 epic main event in him? Yoda.
Yeah, I think he's had some pretty outstanding matches so far.
I think you're right. I get a little nervous when it comes to there are two nights that, really set New Japan in their calendar. And of course, that's Wrestle Kingdom and G1, and specifically G1 Final. Yeah.
Every time he's been in a big spot, he's delivered. I thought he's great in last year's G1 Final against Zach.
Yeah. Okay. I'm not doubting it. I don't know why I'm hesitant to say that we're going to get. Maybe I should just change. I got to change my point of view. I got to change my thinking a little bit, because it is a little bit, as you like to say, yankoid. You know what I mean? Like again, to expect this fucking bar that it could be great. There's no doubt it can be great. Can it be unbelievable fucking G1 final? It could be. Why not? Why not, Joel? Why not?
I'd say, the contender's got to be Tsuji, Gabe, Takeshita if he's in, Yuya, Zach, Shota.
You think Zach's got a shot? I don't think Zach's got a shot.
Well, he's going to be booked strongly in it, isn't he? He's a defending champion, so you can never rule it out.
Yeah. I would say the short list. Kanemaru has got to be on that list, right? Yeah.
The Bishop Dyer, Nomad Bishop Dyer. The Rock. He's going to be in it.
You don't think we're removing House of Torture from the mix, right? Nobody in House of Torture is winning G1, right?
Nah.
Is anyone in Bullet Club winning besides possibly Gabe Kidd?
I don't think they view Fiddley as that guy. I think they view him as a top dance partner for the top guys.
Okay. TMDK, it's Zach, and that's it, right?
Yeah, even then, I think he would be an outside shot.
Yeah, he's not winning back-to-backs.
Shota? You know they're going to discuss it. You know
they are. I'm sure.
Someone's going to pitch it.
We can't do that now, can we? We can't.
Maybe we should, just because it will annoy people.
It would people would be livid. I'll tell you what. Not that this would have any consideration, because it would already. But if he had a great G1, let's just say he had a good to great G1, where there was a night at Corkin where he fucking just destroyed it, right? I don't think that's all he needs. Let's be very truthful. All he needs is that. All he needs is a match where people walked away and were like, "Holy fucking shit, what a match!" And here's the thing too. You could say that for anybody, and we're gonna say it about Callum Newman in 2 seconds. So just stand by. You know what I mean? Like it's that's all people need, and it's easier said than done. But that's all they need. So I don't think they'll do it. I hope they don't. Not yet. I still think there's plenty of time, but that's all they need. That's all a lot of these guys need.
So let's talk Callum Newman then. IWGP World Heavyweight Championship, Hiroki Goto defeating Callum Newman 24 minutes and 1 second at GTR Kai. And a lot of doubt for Newman going into this. A very tricky assignment, because the story they're told, which in the match, which was entirely appropriate, was not classic 50-50 main event, but the rookie getting dominated by the veteran champion for most of the match. Callum was just sort of hanging on by a thread with just enough heart and tenacity to hit back with some dynamic rallies deep into the match. Almost like a football team getting dominated in terms of possession and then executing a handful of dangerous, quick counterattacks. But the match really turned on what I thought was a really spectacular tope that nearly took Goto's head off. And I thought the sequence with Newman inviting the punishment from Goto, that was quite fitting narratively, given that Goto was very dismissive of Newman in the build. So this was Newman's way of proving that he belonged by taking all of Goto's best shots and still standing and fighting and trying to turn the tide with some high risk, high reward moments like the Oz cutter off the apron. And I just thought it was a really, really great performance from Newman in general. Like it was well structured and paced. So his comebacks and his big moves were like sort of exclamation points to sort of break up the Goto dominance. And his strikes were good. I thought the flying knee was crisp. The double foot stomp looked brutal. I think he was holding his own with the lariat exchanges. And I just loved that little narrative wrinkle of him adopting the Rainmaker lariat because Okada was the last person to use it on him. And that's a level of sneaky pettiness that I could get behind. Like, oh, you don't want to put anyone over on your way out? Well, I'm stealing your finisher. Fuck you. I respect it, Callum. And I thought it was a really tremendous achievement to get some great near falls that the crowd bit for, because nobody believed that he was going to win the match. But some of the moments there, like the backslide reversal of the GTR, really well executed. Like you could have forgiven him for playing it safe, but I thought they were very ambitious. And I say again, like Will Ospreay was not having matches like this in 2015 when he was 22 years old. And I'm not saying Callum is better or will be better than Will Ospreay, but it's just a benchmark of how well Callum is doing at a very young age. And he's improved a lot over the past few months. And as usual, it's going to take a while for the consensus tape to catch up with us. But I thought this match has definitely accelerated that process. People are turning on him in a good way. And a lot of grumbling about the booking of the match, which was fair because he hadn't earned it in a kayfabe sense. But if you're looking at it from the perspective of trying to tell interesting stories and build new stars, then this was a bold move and a massive success. Like they could have gone with the safer option. They didn't. And that courage set the field for Callum to knock it out of the park with the help of Goto. I think it's probably Wrestler of the Year at this point. And now we've got a new star on our hands, for now, at least. And it's worked out great for all parties because I think we were originally going to get Jeff Cobb versus Goto, and he was pulled early by WWE so he could make an appearance at, let me check. Oh, it's nothing. Oh, he did nothing. That's a shame, isn't it?
He's got to learn where the camera is, Joel. Jeez, come on.
Do you remember Hikuleo?
I do. Hey, do you know who got released? Correct me if I'm wrong.
Oh, DJ Carl.
Our
Spicy
DJ.
Carl.
DJ Carl. What do you think the chances are DJ Carl making an appearance in New Japan Pro Wrestling this year?
I would put him on a strong card for sure. I don't know if he's going to be making it to Japan, but
imagine he shows up. He just fucking challenges. Come on. He's already got the fucking...
There's some relationships that will need to be repaired in order for that to happen. But, time heals all wounds. If he's smart, he will show contrition and say sorry to people he needs to say sorry to and get to, I don't know, wrestle against the world-class Wrecking Crew or something, or Fred Rosser.
Eat people's hair. I saw that and I was like, would we have interest in that? Because there's nobody else on that list that I would be like, all right, let's go fucking get it. I don't know. We were very high on him. Anywho, Callum Newman. What can I say? You don't have to win, right? You don't have to win a match to help get yourself over. He took the next level in my eyes. He took the next level in a lot of people's eyes. You're right. No one sat there and was like, well, this guy's fucking winning the title. Were there moments where you're like, oh, okay, that was a nice near fall? Of course. That's good. But he did more by losing than well, I can't say that. If he won, I think the whole fucking planet would have imploded. But I think he shut a lot of people up, which he said he would do. He did. And once again, we spent a good 10, 15 minutes talking about others in this company where, you know what? Taking an ass beating sometimes helps. A lot of times helps. I think people in the crowd especially went into this with, okay, we're going to root for the underdog. And it slightly turned to, okay, this guy, come on, let's fucking go. He just needs to get across the finish line. Again, nobody thought that he was going to win the title, but again, it's pro wrestling. Let's have fun. Is this one of the greatest IWGP matches of all time? No. Was this, for this card, a great main event? I think so. And I did a show with Andrew Rich last week. The great Music of the Mat. Not last week, week before. It was
Give it a little pluggery. What's it called?
It's called Music of the Mat, Joel. The great Andrew Rich. We did a show, and it was based around bands. G being the letter for Hiroki Goto. The fact that we're talking about him in this context, a world champion, and right now runaway winner, wrestler of the year. I can't say runaway. I think Gabe's in that conversation, a couple others, but the fact that he's even in the fucking conversation is unbelievable in 2025. We're sitting here, we're talking about Caleb, and the fact that he, shut a lot of people up. And I think he did. We also got to tip our cap to Goto too, who is on a fucking streak. Like, yeah, it's amazing. He is the glue that, I don't want to say he's holding this fucking promotion together, but he's not. But very similar to when we had a lot of these guys that are in the mid and upper mid card of these shows, and even main events in some cases, getting tastes of it. It's a transition. We're trying to get those guys that are now in the middle up the card to upper and main event. And that does take time and that does take effort and whatever. But here's Hiroki Goto with that stabilizing force of, it's a name that people know, recognize, love. There's the story of him finally getting that title, being the guy. And, he's not missing a beat in that role. He's not missing a beat in that role. How many times have we, all right, let's do this. Let's put Zach in that same role, right? And we did that. And I don't think the results have been as stellar as Goto. And Zach's one of my favorite fucking pro wrestlers of all time, right? The build of Zach was better than the end result, where the end result has been better than the build for Goto. And that's saying something. That is fucking saying something. Now, does it help that he was brought up in probably the greatest era of New Japan Pro Wrestling, minus those early 90s? Yeah, that helps. But he's been the glue, and he has been the binding factor in all of this. Is this a transition champion? At first I wouldn't blame you if you said, yeah. It's not been that. It's not been that. And we're all waiting for the shoe to drop of, okay, well, he's obviously keeping the belt warm for a young guy when he's ready to take the title. Okay, sure, maybe down the road that's the case. But I don't think anyone is complaining about this title run. I don't think anyone is complaining about his in-ring when, wow, you look at the age and the people who are around him at that time that are no longer, you could, I wouldn't be surprised if you are surprised. You shouldn't be. And the fact he might go down as, in our lifetime, the most underrated New Japan Pro Wrestling wrestler. He might still be the most underrated guy. Even the opportunity that he has, I think he's opening a lot of eyes. And once again, I'll say it, if this were any other era that Hiroki Goto was brought up in, he'd be the guy. But I don't know. Sometimes I think a lot of that struggle and a lot of that trying to position himself to be a top guy helped make him who he is, right? He, like, that struggle, you don't make diamonds without pressure. So, yeah, I truly believe that he is wrestler of the year in my eyes. And I really believe that he will go down as one of the most underrated guys in that company's history.
I'm glad you're throwing some flowers at him, because all the talk has been about Callum Newman, and his performance and his performances in general, I think, I don't know, maybe been overlooked a bit. And you're right that had they given him an IWGP title run at any point prior to this, then this run wouldn't have worked. It was just the perfect. It was like the planets aligning for him, wasn't it? That right place, right time after all the big stars had left, and he's like the last man standing in chaos, and he's just like this grizzled veteran holding down the fort as the waves upon waves of enemies are coming, and it's just really resonated with the fans. And you hear the chants at every one of his title defenses, like it's raucous, isn't it? Goto, Goto. They're into it. They love him, and that's not out of sympathy or just out of tenure. They love the guy. What else can we say?
It's not a gold watch either. This is not a thing where it's like, all right, we're just gonna give him something to shut him up. This is not that. He's earned every fucking accolade and every flower, and I really have enjoyed this run for all the reasons that I explained. And I don't want to sit here and just jack off over Hiroki Goto, because Callum Newman does deserve credit of taking the next step and being a main event type of guy. That being said, I'm just constantly pleased, and there's always a smile on my face watching Hiroki Goto right now.
It's crazy how we've gone from thinking this is just going to be a transitional, cup of coffee reign for New Japan Cup winner David Finlay to take it, and now we're sitting there thinking, oh yeah, he's going to carry it all the way to Wrestle Kingdom.
Right. I don't think anybody predicted that. And here's the thing, I'm here for it. Is he going to be champion up until? I would have zero problem with it, Joel. I'll tell you the truth. I would have zero problem with it. It'd be interesting. What do you think the chances are? I think they're. It's a coin flip for me. Like it's 50-50.
Yeah.
I would have no problem with it. I would have no problem with him headlining Wrestle Kingdom. Will he? Flip a coin. But this is not a transitional champion. That's for sure.
Aramika says, if you're Kikuchi, how would you book Callum after this performance? You probably want to keep him relevant, but sticking him with the tag titles over Taichi Ishii is probably a bad idea. So what do you do to help him take the next steps towards being a star?
Deeper runs in tournaments. I don't think you instantly flip the switch and say, okay, now we're giving him titles and we're doing it. No, I don't know if that's necessary, but he's got to be in the mix. He has to be taken as a threat. Now, how do you do that? Well, I mean, he's got to have a decent G1. I would think that's step one. I'm not saying be in the finals. I'm not even saying be in the semifinals. But being a guy that's in the mix when it comes to point totals, right, until the very end. That's step number one. Step number two is a decent profile match on big shows. He can't be stuck in never 6-man world. I think that's important. The company does have a little bit of a history of heating guys up, cooling them off, heating them up, cooling them off. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see something along those lines. But I think it would be wise if they kept him as a threat in G1 and give him something. Again, doesn't have to main event fucking Wrestle Kingdom. It doesn't have to be semi-main. But if you put him in a profile match, something strong, something decent, get a decent, strong win. Because at this point, I think both guys need wins more than they need losses. Because I think too many losses, and then you start kind of doubting. He just needs to pick up some wins. Pick up some wins against some strong names. That'll help. We don't have to belt him up, but make him a threat. Make him, still keep him fresh in people's eyes as a guy who could win a title. Doesn't have to. Could win a title.
All right. So we have a resurgence coming up this weekend in the Toyota Arena in Ontario, California. So that's May the 9th. We've got Zane Jane versus CJ Tino in a strong Survivor match. Fred Rosser versus Matt Vandergriff. Bullet Club War Dogs, Davey Finlay, Gabe Kidd, Clark Connors, and Ghetto versus the Young Bucks. And 2 to-be-announced wrestlers.
Oh, Christ.
Yep. That's correct. World Class Wrecking Crew versus United Empire, TJP and Templario. Konosuke Takeshita versus El Fantasmo in a singles match for the Never Openweight Championship. Tomohiro Ishii versus Drilla Maloney. That's for the Strong Openweight Championship. Mercedes Moné versus Azumi versus Mina Shirakawa for Strong Women's Championship. And main event, Hiroki Goto versus Zack Sabre Jr. for the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship. So what do you think of that card?
Not bad. It's not terrible. The ladies, the ladies always overperform. Given their spots, they always overperform. Main event should be great. Drilla, that should be fun. I mean, maybe not a ton underneath that I'm overly thrilled with, but get to see the Good Brothers return. I mean,
well, that means Arsenal win the Champions League. So that's
there you go. So that was the deal that you made with the good Lord above. So there you go. You sold your soul again. Second mortgage on your soul, if I'm not mistaken. Arsenal top of the fucking league, or not the league, Champions League, and Leafs win the cup. There we go. I'll take that. World champions, Good Brothers.
Jersey Joe Gotcha says, does Zack have a snowball's chance in hell versus Goto? And how close are the Good Brothers to be back in New Japan since I doubt anyone else will sign them right now? No, I think they're good for strong shows. I don't care if they're on there, but I hope they won't get brought into Japan. Does Zack have a chance? Wouldn't rule it out. I think it would be a mistake, but I don't know. With Forbidden Door around the corner in London, is that it's just a little seed of doubt to plant in the back of your mind.
Well, listen, Zack is he on the poster? It's hard to say, but
let me just get out the microscope.
Yep, under the left nipple. Look, no,
I'll let you know when the results come back from the lab.
The forensics. I don't think there's any chance he fucking wins the title. To be truthful, why would they? You're gonna give him the title at Forbidden Door, in which no one will give a fuck about because they want to see fucking Toni Storm do her sexual innuendos. You know what I mean? She said pussy. Oh my God. Although there are times where she does make me giggle. I'm not going to lie. I know people have mixed reasons. There are times where she does make me giggle a little bit. Whatever. No, I think there's a 0 chance that occurs. It doesn't make any sense. And again, why would they change the title on this show of all shows? You know what I mean? Come on. Not happening. But watch it happen. Rocky Romero pulling the fucking strings. You see Rocky on the show? Why they flew him in for what? Why was that? Why did that happen? Why did that happen? Why did I see Rocky Romero? All right. No, it's not happening though, but it's not a bad show. Not a terrible show. Pretty good. Main event should rock. And again, the ladies, they go all out. Should be fun.
We've got Best of the Super Juniors around the corner. Whew. That's cracked up on us, hasn't it?
Kevin Knight.
Yeah. I mean, I'll press you for your quick thoughts, but yeah, this starts on Saturday in Chiba. So we've got Kushida against Hiromu, Dragon Dyer against Kanemaru, Fujita against Akira, Despy against Titan, Nick Wayne against Sho. I mean, it's pretty spicy matches to kick things off. And then Sunday, we've got Ninja Mac against Robbie X, Master Wato against Clark Connors, Kevin Knight against Mao, Yo versus Robbie Eagles, and Ryusuke Taguchi versus Taiji Ishimori. So it's all happening. I don't feel like I can do it justice now because I'm tired. What I might do is do a little bonus audio Best of Super Juniors preview.
Ooh.
Don't know who with. If anyone's listening,
let me know. Let me know your schedule. Let me know your schedule. Maybe we can do that together. How about that? Special bonus double shot from us. Would you be down for that?
I would be down for that. Yeah. So do we withhold even giving our most basic? Yeah, you're gonna have to get your wallet out if you want to hear our predictions for Best of the Super Juniors.
Get them out. It has to be done before Saturday, right? Okay.
Yes.
I just have to check my schedule. Just got to check my schedule. Maybe we can make that work. Why don't we do this? Why don't we do 2 separate singular audios?
Yes. We could each preview a different block.
No, okay. That seems like a lot of work, though. All right,
No,
why don't we
let's
just
not
do
do
one
that.
show?
That's a bad idea.
Come on, what the fuck? All right, well, there's over $10. All right, yes, maybe we'll work on it because I got just got, like I said, I got to just got to check my schedule. Should be good. We'll figure it out.
Okay,
That's it.
that's it.
Hey kids, do you like wrestling? Well, we like wrestling too. We are Shake Them Ropes here on the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. Myself and Chris Novembrino kind of doing a lazy river of wrestling criticism, going through the news and whatever happened in stateside television wrestling. And also, you know what? Sometimes we just like to watch old stuff and talk about that too. Love for you to give us a listen. If you haven't already, we are Shake Them Ropes here on the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network.
When your company earns unlimited 2% cash back on all purchases with Capital One, that's serious business. So Steven at SandCloud got a serious business card, the Spark Cash Plus card from Capital One.
We used our 2% cash back to help build our retail presence.
Savvy, Steven.
And we get big purchasing power, so our business can spend more and earn more.
The Spark Cash Plus card from Capital One. What's in your wallet?
Terms and conditions apply. Find out more at CapitalOne.com/SparkCashPlus.
Time is precious, and so are our pets. So time with our pets is extra precious. That's why we started Dutch. Dutch provides 24/7 access to licensed vets, with unlimited virtual visits and follow-ups for up to 5 pets. You can message a vet at any time and schedule a video visit the same day. Our vets can even prescribe medication for many ailments, and shipping is always free. With Dutch, you'll get more time with your pets and year-round peace of mind when it comes to their vet care.